Now, how did you find out, or when did you learn that your son had been killed?
Well, my baby boy called me. He called me and told me that he had been shot. I then went to the hospital, and after being there about 2 hours, they came and told me that he didn't make it.
When you arrived at the hospital, were you able to go back and see him, or what happened when you first
When I
arrived?
first got to the hospital, I went in, I asked for him, they put me in a room, they told me to wait on the doctor, so I was waiting on the doctor, and like I said, it forever about 2 hours, and when the detectives and everybody came back, then they came in to tell me that he didn't make it.
And was that a couple hours
That
after?
was a couple hours after I got there. I had been there a couple hours.
Now, on November 11th, when you got that call, were you surprised that he was even in town, or did you know if he was in town or out of town?
I knew he was coming back that day. He had left. He told me he was going to California. He left, and I knew he was coming back that day, but I didn't know he was already back.
And when you say already back, did you later find out that he actually came back in town on November 10th?
Yes, after he died.
After he died.
This is exactly how the prosecution chose to begin its case against Keywan White. Not with a detective, not with a crime scene investigator, not with cell phone records, not with surveillance footage, but with the mother of MO3, Ms. Noble, who took the stand for the state as the state's first witness. And almost immediately, you can feel the tension, you can feel the emotion as the jury was taken away from the world of rap beefs, alleged rivalries, suspects, surveillance footage, and the murder for hire allegation. This is the first time that she's actually brought face to face with the person who allegedly took the life of her son, Keywan White. But before we break down the testimony, y'all make sure y'all hit that like button. If you're watching from your phone, double tap that screen to help the video be seen. Hit the hype button, hit the share button, whether you're a fan of the case, the state, Mo3, Yella Beezy, or all of the above. Hit the like button to help the channel continue to grow. Put yourself in her position. 6 years later, still no answers, but all you know is that your child is gone. Man, y'all know the vibes. Grab a seat. We finna dig deep.
My name is Nicole Noble. That's Nichole. Last name Noble. I'm the mother of Melvin Noble.
You need to take a second. I know. Why are you nervous this morning?
It's just been a long time coming.
And again, if you need to take a break, compose yourself. That's perfectly fine. And I just want to kind of start with some of the basics. Where are you from?
We're from McKinney, Texas.
And when you say we're from McKinney, Texas, how many, do you have a husband? Are you married? Been married? Do you have kids? Tell me a little bit about your family.
My husband's husband.
Okay.
Melvin's dad. But I am the mother of two. I have two boys. Melvin was my oldest. I also have a youngest son. That's the oldest.
And what's his name?
Corey Simpson.
And as far as your ex, not going to bring that up, but what was his name?
Melvin Sr. Melvin Noble Sr.
Okay, so Melvin, who we're going to be talking about during this trial, he was a junior.
Yes.
What was Melvin's birthday?
He was born May 31st, 1992.
And I know I've been referring to him as Melvin Noble, and I said Mo3, but what did you call him as his mother?
I call him the Melvin, but the whole family, he's Bubba. He's Uncle Bubba. He's Bubba to the family, but he's Lil Melvin to me forever.
And just, if you wouldn't mind, I know the church heard a little bit just from opening statements about what he did professionally, but can you tell us a little bit about how Melvin got into rap? How did that career take off? When did he begin rapping or singing?
I would say he was born into music, so he's been singing all his life. He could hold 2-point harmonies at the age of 2, but rapping, I would say maybe about 7, 8. I can remember him writing his first rap on an Easter program. We used to have Easter programs, so he wrote his first rap on the Easter program.
And when you say on the Easter program, that was at the church?
At the church.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes, your name.
Ms. Noble, in the past few years that you and I have gotten to know each other, I asked for you to provide me with some photos, and I appreciate you providing me with quite a few, and I appreciated that. But State's Exhibit 1, State's Exhibit number 2, and State's Exhibit 3, are those photos that you provided to me?
Yes.
And those are kind of the ones we picked out to kind of discuss your son. All right, State for State's Exhibit number 1, 2, and 3, previously tendered to the Defense Counsel for inspection, but tendering again.
Objection, Your Honor.
I think it is 1, 2, and 3 are medical brokers.
I want to start with number 2. I kind of went back and forth for a little while. If you wouldn't mind, I know there was a story behind State's Exhibit 2. Can you tell the jury just a little bit about State's Exhibit number 2?
This photo, it was the last photo of my birthday when I was 48, so that's why that one meant so much, because that was, he sent me on a trip to Vegas, and that was our picture before I got on the plane. And that was that was my last birthday with him.
And what year was that photo taken?
In 2019.
So this was not too far before the time he was actually murdered, correct?
Well, that was December 2019.
So the next year, the following year.
The following year, it was my birthday. He didn't make it to my birthday the following year.
Gotcha. And your permission to publish State's Exhibits 1, 2, and 3, if I forgot, I apologize. Thank you. State's Exhibit number 1, and I know it's kind of hard, but look all the way there. When was this photo taken?
That one was taken in 2019 as well, of him and the kids. That was 2019 as well.
And are these his babies?
Those are his kids.
Okay. And just, if you wouldn't mind.
Now this is crazy because you got to turn around and you got to look at this. She's talking directly to the jury. You know, just looking at his picture, looking at her face, you can feel her pain, see her pain. As a mother talking to this jury, man, look how the prosecution just opened this case, leading with the most impactful information. The witness alone, just opening on day 1, depending on how long this case is, may actually sink Keywan White, in my personal opinion, altogether. But again, the prosecution still has to prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt. Let's dig.
Would you mind sharing who they are?
The boy that's Trayvon, that's his oldest. This is Malaysia Nicole. That's the next one, and the baby is Malia Nicole.
So Malaysia on the far left.
Yes.
Okay. And how old are they now?
They are 7, 8, and 9.
Can you just kind of let the jury know just a little bit about Melvin or Bubba? Just not the star rapper. What would you like to know, or the jury to know about him as a person?
Well, he was a family man. He loved his family. He loved his mama. I know that. But he was Lil Melvin and Bubba to us. It was never MO3 at home because it wasn't about rap at home. It was always, like I said, Bubba. He loved to make the family laugh. He was gonna be the clown. He was always our entertainment. He could turn any kind of day. I mean, we could be having a bad day. He gonna make it good. And he was just my baby. He was my baby. It was, no, I never referred to him as MO3 till after he died, and he's still a Melvin. But it was never that at home. He liked to play Connect Four. He liked to sing. We did all of that at home. Like I said, he was our entertainment. Every holiday, every family gathering, so be him.
And so he began his love of music at an early age.
As a baby.
And sang in the church.
Yes.
In fact, you still sing in the church, is that right?
I was a choir director, and so my kids, when nobody else wanted to sing, my kids had to sing. They had a choice.
And as he got older, is that when he found a love and a passion for rapping?
Like I say, he always did it. He always did the music. He just, I say, saw fit for him to, make it, because, you know, everybody around us wanted to rap and sing, and he made it. In our eyes, he made it.
And your ex-husband, Melvin Sr., both of y'all sang, is that correct?
Yes.
So in State's Exhibit number 3, is this a photo of your son, Melvin Noble, performing?
Yes.
And the name MO3, I know a lot of people pronounce it wrong, or say it wrong, or spell it wrong, but where does MO3 come from?
His dad used to be called Triple L Cool Bell.
Triple L Cool Melvin.
Lil Melvin took his name. That's all I can tell him. I told him all the time, you took your daddy's name. So he said he's a Mo of 3. So his daddy was already called 3. So he went from Lil 3 to he's Mo 3.
And that stuck. I mean, that was
Yes.
until his last day on earth. And now, October of 2020, I'm sure the jury remembers, but we were in the middle of a worldwide pandemic. But was he still traveling a bunch and still performing and recording and everything?
That I knew that he was.
Okay. And Your Honor, I wrote information about relief throughout the testimony.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 998. That's previously been admitted for record purposes. Just a calendar of the month of October 2020, November 2020, and December 2020. Do you remember this time period of those dates? And you remember this year?
I remember.
State would offer State's Exhibit 998, previously tendered to the defense for all purposes.
Okay, may I just review that? I'm sorry.
Now, how did you find out, or when did you learn that your son had been killed?
Well, my baby boy called me. He called me and told me that he had been shot. I then went to the hospital, and after being there about 2 hours, they came and told me that he didn't make it.
November 11th of 2020.
November 11th, 2020.
Sorry. And so approximately what time did you?
It was about, I'd say about 11, maybe about between 11:45 and 12 noon.
And just again, what had you learned at that moment? Did you know if he was alive? Or
No, when I got the call, no, I didn't know.
Okay. And when you received this call, where did you go?
I went to, I think we were at the Methodist Hospital here in Dallas.
And when you arrived there, was there anybody else there with you?
I came by myself, but the hospital was full of people. But yeah, I was there. I went by myself, but the hospital was full of people already.
When you say full of people because he had been shot?
Yes.
Okay. And when you arrived at the hospital, were you able to go back and see him, or what happened when you first
When I
arrived?
first got to the hospital, I went in, I asked for him. They put me in a room. They told me to wait on the doctor. So I was waiting on the doctor. And like I said, it forever about 2 hours. And when the detectives and everybody came back, then they came in to tell me that he didn't make it.
And was that a couple hours after?
That was a couple hours after I got there. I had been there a couple hours.
Now, on November 11th, when you got that call, were you surprised that he was even in town, or did you know if he was in town or out of town?
I knew he was coming back that day. He had left. He told me he was going to California. He left, and I knew he was coming back that day, but I didn't know he was already back.
And when you say already back, did you later find out that he actually came back in town on November 10th?
Yes, after he died.
After he died. Leading up to November 11th, had you ever had any concerns about his safety or anything like that?
I didn't like that because I didn't know, I'm old, so I'm not listening to rap. And so I didn't know, again, when he's at home with us, he's not the rapper. He's not MO3 the rapper. He's LaMel. He Bubba. So we didn't have to worry about none of that at home.
And I know you've heard a lot that's gone on in the years since. Is that fair?
Yes.
But as a mother, that wasn't something that you were privy to or knew about.
Now, I couldn't put myself in her position and in her shoes because this is a sad situation altogether. Finding out from your other child that your other child has actually been shot and killed is crazy. But then to sit up in front of the world, in front of the jury, and have to understand that maybe as a parent, you didn't know your child as you thought you did. As a parent, find out these things after your child has been taken from you forever is a pain that I'm sure can't even be put in words. Let's dig.
Ms. Melvin, I know it's been almost 6 years. Before I go to this last exhibit, is there just anything that I've forgotten to ask you that you think is important for me to ask you about what took place in those days, and what you remember from the 11th of this period?
And I apologize, I'm just subject to that as this is question and answer narrative.
Just a reminder, how old was your son in 2020?
He was 28.
And how old were his children?
They were 1, 2, and 3.
Now that hurt. I felt that. 1, 2, and 3 to be taken away from your father, or a father be taken away from their children where they'll never ever be able to experience that father again. Phew, crazy.
Ms. Melvin, you have a support group here with you. Is that part of your family?
Yes.
Who all is here with you here in the courtroom?
My brother is my sister-in-law, my nephew, my friends.
And when we met the other day, you'd had some questions about the murder itself and how his body was. Is that fair?
Yes.
And you wanted to see a couple things just to get a better understanding of how he was shot. Is that fair?
Yes.
Now I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 4. You've previously seen it too, and I'm just going to show it to you just briefly. And is that your son?
Yes.
And that was after he passed?
Yes.
Could you describe Exhibit 4 for the record?
Yes, Your Honor. State Exhibit number 4, State Number State Exhibit number 4 for all purposes, which is the living photo, or the identification photo, excuse me, not live photo, identification photo after Mr. Noble had passed, that was taken at Swiss.
Any objections?
It has to do with
Exhibit number 4 is in red.
You can publish.
You may.
Thank you. And Your Honor, I'll be publishing that through the medical examiner to testify later.
That's fine, later on.
Yes, Your Honor. Not with Ms. Noble standing. All right, thank you, Ms. Noble. That's what it is.
Okay, but that's,
So as you see, the prosecution's playing no games. And let's talk about strategy that the prosecution, in my opinion, is taking advantage of. Now, I don't think it was an accident that the state started with Ms. Noble. The prosecution has had a very complicated case, 6 years in the making. The state's theory isn't simply Mo3 was killed. That's not really in dispute. But what is in dispute is whether this attack on Mo3 was actually connected to Yella Beezy and a murder for hire arrangement. And to be fair, that's a lot for a jury to process. So what does the prosecution do first? They introduce the person at the center of the case, Mo3, through his mother, Ms. Noble. It's almost like the state is telling the jury, before we talk about the accused, before we talk about the evidence, before we talk about the alleged plot, remember the person who died. Let's dig.
Good morning, Ms. Noble. My name is Bree West. I'm going to just ask you a few questions. If there's anything that I ask you that you don't understand or is confusing, just ask me to rephrase it or repeat it. Is that okay? Okay. So Melvin Noble is your son.
Yes.
And he, obviously you guys are very close, it sounds like. Is that right?
Yes.
Clearly you loved him. You talked about all the different family things that you did at home. Is that right?
Yes.
And how he would spend time with you and at your home and play games and things like that. Is that right?
Yes.
And then I also heard you say that Melvin was a different person when he was at home. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, yes.
Yes, he was your son when he was at home. Is that right? Yes. And in fact, you said that you never even called him Mo3. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
And you didn't like none of the Mo3 persona was inside of your home.
Right.
And therefore, you didn't have any information about things that may have been going on as it relates to the persona Mo3. Is that fair?
Well, I mean, as far as when you're saying anything going on, no. Now, we did listen to some of his music.
Sure, I mean,
So, you know, we have a.
you're gonna be supportive.
Yes.
finish the answer. Go ahead.
Yes, I mean, we did, like I said. So you're saying not knowing anything about the Mo3? Yes, we
And-
listened to his music.
And let me
but
pause.
not like.
Let me stop you just 1 second. I think that I didn't ask a good question. Of course, I assume and believe that you would have supported your son's career.
Yes.
Is that right? And that you would have bought his music, listened to his music, you know, all of the things. Is that right? Okay. I'm talking about Mo3, the performer, and the persona. That person, what I understood you to say, wasn't somebody that you spent time with. Is that right? You spent time
Because
with.
he wasn't rapping at home with us.
Right.
He wasn't at home performing for us rapping. He did that when he was little, not when he became Mo3 the rapper. No, he wasn't doing that at home with us.
Okay. And so when he became Mo3 the rapper, would you agree with me that Mo3 the rapper was a persona that he put out into the world?
Yes.
And that he did, you know, he grew that persona on social media. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
And that he grew it through performing and sort of online. Is that fair?
Yes.
And that because that persona was separate from you, you didn't necessarily know a lot of the things that the persona had going on. Is that fair?
Yes.
Now, the defense is defending. I gotta honestly say, even though this is his mother, the defense has one job to do, and that's to poke holes in the narrative of the prosecution and the witnesses. Unfortunately, Ms. Noble, you are on the stand. Now, here's where the jurors could potentially see the testimony in two different ways. One juror might hear the defense is questioning this like, of course she didn't know everything. She's just his mother. But then on the flip side, another juror might say, if she didn't know this about the people he associated with, the conflicts he had, and what was happening in his professional world versus his personal life, how much weight should we give her understanding of the circumstances? In my opinion, that is huge. Because if you're getting painted one picture and this person has lived in another picture, which we all know the Mo3 person that listens to his music, Mo3 always describe an alter ego. But will that alter ego be enough to come back and bite him in the end? Let's dig.
In terms of any, sort of any issues that the persona, MO3, had going on. Is that fair?
Yes, correct.
For example, were you aware?
I'm going to object. She said she had no awareness of the persona or anything going on with the persona. So I think going into 4 examples of them, she said she doesn't. She already answered it.
And I just want to make sure that, because it's such a generalized question, I just want to clarify whether or not there's any information that she does in fact know.
Let's tailor it down to what she does. No.
Specifically.
Okay.
So you perhaps didn't know about the issues or the problems or the instigation or whatever it is that MO3, the artist, had. Is that what I heard you say?
Correct.
Okay. But you are aware that there was some conflict and some tension between him and his manager, Rainwater. Is that right?
I don't know what you're talking about right there.
Okay.
What you mean?
That there were issues between him and his manager, Rainwater, that have extended into issues that you have with his ex-manager, Rainwater.
I'm going to object for relevance, Your Honor.
Because I'm
I don't know how this is relevant at all to anything further.
Now, where's the defense going? I'll tell you exactly where they're going. This is called deflection. They have no actual defense. This is called creating reasonable doubt. Y'all asking this lady questions that have no direction, no specifics, no nothing. Y'all just up there just asking, did you know Mo3? Was Mo3 when Mo3 was Mo3? Was he Mo3 when he was at the house, or was he Lil Melvin, or was he Big Bubba or Lil Bubba? Like, ask the questions that are relevant to the case. Have you ever heard of Keywan White? Have you ever heard of him mentioning Keywan White? Have you ever heard of any type of issues that could have led up to this actual situation? Or, like, ask those type of questions while you have the one opportunity to ask his mom on the stand. But instead, y'all, was Mo3 the same persona as he was in the house? And, man, come on, man. This right here should let you see exactly where this defense is going. This is all deflection. Y'all want to sit up and try to paint bad character on a man that can't defend himself while his mother's on the stand? The last time that she got her birthday gift from him, he sent her off to celebrate and never got another birthday gift from him again. And y'all got the audacity to ask him, was he the same person in the house and the same person outside the house? Like, man, come on, man. Come on, Toby. Let's dig.
You don't know anything that led up to November 11th. Is that right? You don't know anything that was. What you're saying is, ma'am, that the difficulties that your son had with Go Yayo, Brandon Rainwater, Trap Boy Freddy, Beto, Gunna Music, the issues and the beefs and the problems that he had with all of those people, you're not aware of it, is what you're saying.
No, I didn't know any of those people until he died, except Rainwater.
Okay. And so what you now know is that there were disagreements with a bunch of different people and the persona Mo3 and the performer Mo3.
Again, he wasn't here, so I still don't really know what's to be true and what's not to be true, because again, before he died, I knew none of those people. I knew none of nobody before he died.
And my question is that what you now have learned is that with the performer Mo3, there were conflicts and issues with a bunch of different people.
I've seen it on social media.
And so before, and you don't know anybody named Keywan White, is that right?
I did not know.
And you don't know, you weren't present on the highway on November 11th. You don't know anything that led up to November 11th, is that right? You don't know anything that was existing between any of those Rainwater, any of those people and the persona Mo3 prior to that, is that right?
Rain and Melvin didn't have an issue that I knew of, so I don't know what you're asking. You're saying, what's the question again? Because they didn't have an issue as far as I know of.
Right, and I guess that's my question, that you weren't aware of that.
No.
Okay, but you don't know that there was an issue.
Right.
Right. And so are you aware that?
Your Honor, I'm going to object again because this witness is only here to ID her son, which she knew about that day. She's testified multiple times that she's not aware of any of these people or any of these personas. And defense keeps going down this rabbit hole.
And I apologize, Your Honor, we were just learning about the persona of Mo3 and the person of Mo3, and there was a lot of information put out about that. So I'm just asking her questions following that on that.
And I think she's responded that he was this person at home to them. And she does not, she does not know any of these other people or about any beefs. And so she's not aware of any of this information.
Okay.
So, okay, with that in mind, go ahead and tailor your questions to what she does know based on her answers.
Okay, thank you. What I heard you testify to is that you learned that Melvin Noble had come back, that he was in LA prior to November 11th, is that right?
Yes.
And that you believed that he was in LA at least all the way through November 11th. Is that right?
Well, I knew he was coming back November 11th.
Or come, yes, thank you for correcting me, coming back November 11th, you knew that.
Yes,
But you later learned that he had come back before November 11th, is that right?
after he died.
And do you know who he was traveling with when he was in LA?
Him and Rain.
Okay.
And Rain.
Do you know whether or not Mr. Rainwater traveled back with him?
I don't know.
Do you know whether or not he was present with him
I don't know.
anytime?
I don't know.
Okay, and the only thing is, this young lady has to write down everything that we're saying.
Okay.
And so that's why it's different. I don't want to talk over you, and I don't want you to talk over
Okay.
me. And so my question is, do you know whether or not, when he returned early, whether or not anybody knew, other than the person he was traveling with, that he was coming back early?
No, I don't.
You said that you did listen to his music. Is that right?
Yes, the part
And you-
when he wasn't cussing.
Okay. So a lot of his music did have cuss words in it. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. And so are you aware of the content and the things that he was rapping about in his music?
Now, but before he died, no, I didn't know, because a lot of it I listened to after.
And so are you aware that his rap songs are talking about sort of money and shootings and drugs
Yes.
and all of that kind of thing?
Yes.
Okay. And what you're saying is that part of MO3 you didn't know.
No,
But you are not saying that that's not a part of MO3 that existed since he rapped about it.
that's not him with me.
Okay. And I think you already answered this, but I want to make sure that you're saying that you're not aware of any confidence they have in anyone.
I don't know.
Okay, and I just want to make sure that I understood that. So you don't know anything about conflict with the MO3’s content? That you didn't know that? I mean, maybe after the fact, but you didn't know that at the time, is that right?
Correct.
And so you don't know any of the relationships or the connections between any people?
Objection,
No.
Your Honor, has been answered.
Sustained.
Ms. Noble, we're sorry for your loss. Thank you.
So let's dig. Now, we've heard the prosecution say that this was a targeted attack. We've heard the allegations about rival rappers, the manager, Rainwater. You heard about alleged murder for hire arrangement. And now we hear from the victim's mother as the state's first witness, as she tells you more about MO3. She tells you what she was doing when she found out that MO3 had been shot, before, during, and after. And as you watch her deal with her reality right here in person, that her son died, that can create an emotional connection with the jury. But then the defense starts asking questions about what she knew. And man, now you're forced to separate two things: how you feel about what happened from what the evidence actually proved. And that is critical when it comes to this, because jurors are instructed to decide on the case based off the evidence and law, not emotion. Because remember, in court, emotion doesn't equal proof. And this is where we have to pump the brakes, because while Ms. Noble's testimony can be incredibly powerful and emotional, it doesn't by itself establish who killed Mo3 or unmasked the shooters. It doesn't connect the money and doesn't help the state further connect the dots. It doesn't establish Keywan White as the alleged shooter, as the state is saying. It doesn't even establish the prosecution's murder for hire theory. Those things still have to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt by the prosecution. So in my opinion, while her testimony did provide crucial pieces for the state's testimony and for their theory, keep in mind, the defense questioning Ms. Noble could be an early preview of its overall strategy. That may be signaling to the jury, don't assume that every person who loved Mo3 knew everything about his life. And perhaps most importantly, don't let emotion replace evidence. No one is denying that Mo3 was loved. They don't have to minimize what happened to him. They can acknowledge the tragedy while telling the jurors, your job is not to avenge Mo3's death. Your job is to determine whether the state proved its case beyond a reasonable doubt and that Keywan White, so the Mo3 case, as y'all see, is about to be interesting. But this is day one, and the prosecution and the defense are at an uphill battle. Right now, in my personal opinion, I do feel like the prosecution has this much leeway over the defense. But to be fair, regardless of the witness leading out with his mother to introduce the person, not the rapper first, was huge in my personal opinion. But even with this star witness from the state, Ms. Noble, Mo3's mother, his flesh and blood, she couldn't even positively identify who was behind the mask. She can't look over and definitively say, that was Keywan White. I know him. Because again, she said everything the opposite. She doesn't know who it is. She doesn't want to speculate. She's heard, but nobody's ever proven. Will the state be able to prove to Ms. Noble on this day starting that this is the person that's responsible? This the person that made the money. This the person that fatally shot your son. Everybody had questions on how many times Mo3 was shot. 13 times, man. 13 times. Imagine being this mother sitting up on the stand having to say this over and keep reliving it 6 years later. In the voice of Mo3, it's been a long time coming. Y'all jump in the comments, let me know y'all's thoughts. Does Keywan White actually have a chance? Did the state actually start this case off on fire, introducing Miss Noble, instead of letting it to the defense actually introduce a character or a persona, as they say? Y'all jump in the comments, let me know. Again, this goes to show, the greater the height, the greater the weight. The life you save could be your very own. Just think about this. If Q1 could rewind this and do this all over, you think he would? If Mo3 could rewind the time, you think he would? If Yella could rewind the time, you think he would? And most important, Miss Noble, if she could take back the opportunity that her son had to be a rapper, a persona, not the person she knew, not the person she raised, not the church singing young boy, but the persona that's being described to the public, just for the clout, for the money, and the fame. You think she'll take it back? Y'all jump in the comments. Let me know y'all's thoughts. Man, next video is on the way. We got to break down these witness testimonies, man. They did Mo3 dirty. We got 911 calls, the actual calls. No more wondering who did what, how many times he was hit, and who saw what. We about to break it down. To the next video, y'all remember, stay safe, stay vigilant, stay dangerous, and always remember, the life you save could be your very own. And to the next one, hit that like button, hit the hype button, share the video, turn that notification bell on. And as always, I'm your host, Jay. Gone.